So he got rid of all the DEI for LGBTQ and people of the color and race and blacks and Hispanic. He got rid of all that DEI and he just replaced it with a new DEI called Jewish people. Called Jewish people. Called Jewish people. Trump betraying MAGA and becoming Israel first instead of America first. U.S. is going to link $1.9 billion in state disaster funds to Israel boycott stance. So if a state doesn't want to buy stuff from Israel and they do a boycott of Israel products because they're committing a genocide, Donald Trump's federal government is going to deny you disaster funds. U.S. states and cities that boycott Israel companies will be denied federal aid for natural disaster preparedness, the Trump administration has announced, tying routine federal funding to its political stance.
Is there any states that are currently threatening to do that at all, by the way?
I think there is. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, the FEMA, stated in grant notices posted on Friday that states must follow its terms and conditions. This is the most... So now Israel is like a DEI hire for the Trump administration.
Who do you think benefits the most from DEI programs? Time's up. Black people? No. White women. Overwhelmingly. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that. And I'm not going to get into that now because that's a whole other discussion. But I will say that one of the reasons is that 50 years of affirmative action got a lot of women into the workplace where they were in a position to take advantage of a new push to say, hey, we need to look for qualified people. They were already in the workplace because of affirmative action. That was one of the reasons. But be that as it may. All right. So who's the second biggest beneficiary of DEI programs? Time's up. Black people?
You would think so. I mean, most people in America apparently think so.
Yeah, most people think so. No. The second biggest beneficiary of DEI programs is white men.
That's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off. And I feel better now thinking about that.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so.
Saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring, and what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else.
White men, of course, are not a uniform group,
right?
As much as we think so. They are vets. They are disabled. They are LGBTQ, whatever. They are poor. And in all of those categories of diverse talent benefit from DEI programs, and they're all majority white.
Right.
So, of course, white people are going to benefit more from DEI programs. And they're also going to be hurt the most by taking them away. And in all those categories of diverse talent benefit from DEI programs, and they're all majority white.
How about you? Are you a white Jew?
So we could elaborate on this debate. I'm going to try to stay sort of in the pocket here, one thing at a time. But am I white passing? Absolutely. How we're going to define
you said you're white passing.
Well, joining us for our weekly segment, Bottom Line, is Allgemeiner CEO David Efune. So, David, let's jump right in. Genetically speaking, are Jews white?
Well, Natasha, it's important to understand, firstly, the intense sensitivity that this question has for the Jewish community. And actually, it's coming up at a personally very relevant time for me. Today is the anniversary of the passing of my great-grandfather, David Weinstock, who was arrested by the Nazis in Vienna in September 1939. And he was taken to the anthropological department at the Vienna Museum of Natural History, and he was subjected to, together with 440 other Jews, to degrading tests and measurements because he was considered by the Nazis to be of an inferior race. So it really is the height of irony and insult that when Jews express concern about anti-Semitism being ignored and a blindness to anti-Semitism, they're then lumped into the white category.
And in all those categories, all of those categories of diverse talent benefit from DEI programs, and they're all majority white.
I want to get Dr. Meyer's opinion on this. Classifying it as white Jew, because we know there's black Jews, you know. How does that make you feel? How does that initially hit you when I say, yeah, you know, if I said black and white Jewish relations?
I guess that's mostly what I deal with is in my courses is those interactions. I think, again, in America, most Jews are Ashkenazic Jews who are white. Sometimes part of the problem between the two communities is that some people will take advantage of that, will use their whiteness as a way of promoting themselves, as a way of integrating themselves into whatever community they want to be in, by removing themselves and denigrating themselves from some other community. Right. I find that problematic.
Jewishness is categorized as whiteness.
The Jews, those who call themselves Jews today and live in Israel, they have created their narrative.
You say, well, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now immigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany, so they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japhet. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Japhet is a myth, 100% false.
This is the most... So now Israel is like a DEI hire for the Trump administration. That's what this is. And they're horrible, but you have to treat them better than you treat everybody else. You can boycott America. You can boycott American products. You can boycott states. Can boycott. Remember when they were boycotting Florida? Remember California was boycotting Florida? Remember that? You can do that. You just can't boycott another country because Donald Trump is not America first.
I have to say that was pretty anti-Semitic to boycott Florida. That's as close to boycotting Israel as it gets.
That's pretty bad. Those conditions require. You're gonna boycott Florida? Those conditions require they certify it's so humid down there. Those conditions require that they certify that they will not sever commercial relations specifically with Israeli companies to qualify for funding.
Even if they traffic your kids, even if relations.
The requirement applies to at least $1.9 billion that states rely on to cover search and rescue equipment, emergency manager salaries, and backup power systems, among other expenses, according to 11 agency grant notices reviewed by Reuters. The requirement is the Trump administration's latest effort to use federal funding to promote its views on Israel. The Department of Homeland Security, so he's forcing colleges to do DEI for Jewish people. He's forcing them.
What we're going to do right here is go back, way back into time.
This action makes clear that Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits the federal funding of universities and other institutions that engage in discrimination, applies to institutions that traffic in anti-Semitic hate. So this is a very powerful document that we're signing today, and it's been a very big story over the last number of days when they heard. As you know, they had almost universal support in Congress, and yet they didn't get it done. And this has gone on for years and years. They've almost had universal support, but there was always a roadblock. But this year, there's no roadblock because I'm doing it myself. It's much easier. And we have support from many in Congress. This is our message to universities. If you want to accept the tremendous amount of federal dollars that you get every year, you must reject anti-Semitism. It's very simple.
Are you familiar with Genesis 12:3?
Probably not as well as you are, Congressman.
Well, it's pretty clear. It was the covenant that God made with Abraham. And that covenant was real clear. If you bless Israel, I will bless you. If you curse Israel, I will curse you. And then in the New Testament, it was confirmed that all nations would be blessed through you. So you do not know about that.
I have heard that. Now that you've explained it, yes, I have heard that before. It's
now familiar. Do you consider that a serious issue? I mean, do you want Columbia University to be cursed by God of the Bible? I mean, do you want Columbia University to be cursed by God of the Bible?
I mean, do you want Columbia University to be cursed by God?
Here's the deal. We fail the mission, you die.
If we find out any information you give us is false, you die.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
What? No.
If you mismatch blacks, you die.
No.
If you cough without covering your mouth.
Harley, those last three aren't things.
So he got rid of all the DEI for LGBTQ and people of the color and race and blacks and Hispanic. He got rid of all that DEI, and he just replaced it with a new DEI called Jewish people.
About time.
And this requirement is the Trump administration's latest effort to use federal funding to promote its views. So could you imagine if a Democrat did that? Like, we're going to, if you don't hire more DEI people at your college, we're going to cut your funding. You imagine that?
That's what they did the last time. They just switched out people.
The Department of Homeland Security, the agency that oversees FEMA, in April said that boycotting Israel is prohibited for states and cities receiving its grant funds. The Israeli requirement takes aim at BDS, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement designed to put economic pressure on Israel to end its occupation of Palestinian territories. The campaign supporters grew more vocal in 2023 after Hamas attacked southern Israel and Israel invaded Gaza in response. Now, they did more than invade Gaza. They had already invaded Gaza. They were occupying it. DHS will enforce all anti-discrimination laws and policies, including as it relates to the BDS movement, which it expressly grounded in anti-Semitism, a spokesperson for the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, said. The requirement is largely symbolic, at least 34 states have already have anti-BDS laws or policies. Oh, so
yeah, what?
The states already beat them to it.
That's why I don't understand why it would even be necessary.
The BDS movement did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The American Jewish Committee supports the Trump administration's policy. No kidding. The AJC is the advocacy group that supports Israel. Under one of the grant notices posted on Friday, FEMA will require major cities to agree to the Israel policy to receive a cut of $553 million set aside to prevent terrorism in dense areas. New York is due to receive $92.2 million for the program, the most of all the recipients. Allocations are based on the agency's analysis of relative risk of terrorism. So you know what this is? This is the cutoff Zoloft Mondavi in New York.
Yeah. Is that they're paying him not? Don't
So
have
that's what this
Zoloft,
is.
Krav Maga, or Mondavi.
So it looks like Zoloft Mondavi, who is anti-Israel, is going to win in New York, and he'll probably be all on board for a BDS to do a boycott on Israeli companies. So that's what this is about. This is about stopping him from doing that. But guess what? Sagar Enjeti found this out. The Trump administration's decision to withhold disaster relief funds is even more insane than I thought. It extends a ban on disaster funds from our tax dollars to anyone who refuses to deal with Israeli companies. So here, and he points it out, it says discriminatory prohibited boycott means refusing to deal, cutting commercial relations, or otherwise limiting commercial relations specifically with Israeli companies or with companies doing business in or with Israel or authorized by, licensed, or organized under the laws of Israel to do business.
So this is like when Great Britain forced China to buy opium from them?
Yes.
Except instead of getting some sweet opium, we just do what Israel says. We don't even get a good opium high.
Ironically, FEMA declares that anyone who accepts these grant funds agrees they do not and will not, during the term of this financial assistance award, operate any programs that advance or promote DEI, DEIA, or discriminatory equity ideology. That's the irony, is that you can't do your regular DEI, but Trump has a whole new set of DEI for Jews or Israelis. I'll put it Israel. It's not Jews. It's Israelis.
Diversity, equity, Israelis.
Yes.
My administration will never tolerate the suppression, persecution, or silencing of the Jewish people. We have also taken a firm stand against the so-called divestment and sanctions movement, or BDS. You know that very well. And I have to tell you, Jared Kushner and Ivanka, they've been talking to me about this for 3 years now, maybe longer than that. But I go back about 3 years where it's something that I could do about it. You know, in this position, we can do things about it. Before that, not quite as much. I'd be just like you. Successful, doing nicely, but not for this. But they've been talking from the beginning of the administration. They've been bringing this up. And we forcefully condemn this anti-Semitic campaign against the state of Israel and its citizens.
When I show you what I'm about to show you, your mind will be blown. You're going to be blindsided. Every single Israeli prime minister has a fake name. Did you know that? I was just talking about Ben Gurion. Do you know what his original name is? It's Grun. Gruen. He changed it to make it sound more Jewish and sound more Middle Eastern. Do you know what Netanyahu's real name is? It's not Netanyahu, it's Milkovsky.
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
Maybe you will ask, who is Mr. Milikowski?
I did ask, and you told me, but I didn't know before.
He is Benjamin Netanyahu. This is the real name.
Prime Minister or President of Israel.
The colonial settler state of Israel.
I swear to God, go and look it up. You'll find Milkovsky. That's his real name. These are, remember what Israelis are. Israelis are European Jews. They don't come from Palestine, but they want you to make you believe. They want to make believe and make you believe that they come from this area, that they are indigenous to the land, that they're so Jewish, right? Even though they have no connection. So they change their names.
You just like me because my daughter happens to be Jewish, right? She has a great husband, Jared, and I'll tell you what, Ivanka could not be happier, and she's very proud. The only bad news, I can't get her on Saturday. I call and call. I can't speak to my daughter anymore on Saturday, but that's okay.
Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful.
I want to thank my Jewish daughter. I have a Jewish daughter. This wasn't in the plan, but I'm very glad it happened.
Glenn Greenwald says, even worse about this Trump policy that bans disaster relief funds to any American state or city boycotting Israel, it only applies to Israel. They can boycott France, Peru, United Arab Emirates, or South Korea, or even other American states and still get those funds. They just can't boycott Israel.
Oh, if Rogan doesn't have Bibi Netanyahu on, will Texas lose their FEMA funds?
Glenn Greenwald goes on to say, when Andrew Cuomo was governor of New York, he ordered state employees to boycott both Indiana and North Carolina due to their gender bathroom laws. Mm-hmm. But then he also banned contracts to anybody boycotting Israel. So you can boycott United States or U.S. states, you just not this one foreign country. Isn't that amazing? You can boycott another United States state. You can't boycott a foreign country.
Hey, does Israel have a lot of trans bathrooms? I bet they don't.
I bet they don't. Jake Shields says, hey, MAGA, are you going to try to defend this, or are you ready to admit that Epstein has him effing kids? Instead of releasing the Epstein files, he's going to cut off American aid during disasters. I'm sure the FEMA money will be sent to Israel. It's time to admit we are occupied. I admit it, Jake. Donald Trump never will. I think lots of MAGA actually does admit that Trump is Israel first and not America first. Jack Merkinson says, telling people you will have to be killed in a hurricane because of Israel is definitely going to make them like Israel more.
I disagree. I think they should be more pushy.
Here is Joey says, part of Trump... Help, do you support Israel?
Oh, I thought they were deporting her for writing a college paper against Israel.
That's funny. But here's the latest from Sagar. He says, okay, after speaking with folks, here's what's going on. An original guidance from the Department of Homeland Security explicitly stated that federal disaster funding was barred from states that allowed boycotts of Israel. The White House then changed this explicit language after widespread outcry. But the Department of Homeland Security tweet makes it clear the administration reserves the right to deny these funds on BDS grounds based on the Anti-Boycott Act. They still might do it. They're just not saying it out loud right now.
Is this like a plot to make everybody hate Israel to get it? Like, are they running out of anti-Semitism? Is that what the problem is?
Can you imagine that your state gets denied disaster funds because of Israel, and you think this is going to help Israel?
I don't even know how my state would be boycotting Israel by not dealing with some Israeli company.
So the Homeland Security tweeted this out. There is no FEMA requirement tied to Israel in any current NOFO. No states have lost funding and no new conditions have been imposed. FEMA grants remain governed by existing law and policy and not political litmus tests. DHS will enforce all anti-discriminatory laws and policies, including as it relates to the BDS movement. So they just contradicted themselves here. So what they're saying is, we're not writing a new law. We're going to just do this under the old law. So we're going to deny you disaster funds if we feel like it, because of Israel.
That's what they're saying. You're allowed to have. I can boycott whoever I want.
Yeah,
I'm really talking about.
I get to hate anybody I want. I get to speak hate against anybody I want. I get to boycott anybody I want. I get to hate and boycott anybody I want. Why? Because I'm a gross man and I'm not a slave and I'm free. And you want to control my thoughts and my buying behavior. You can't do that. I'm a grown man. I get to not buy from someone if I don't want to, and I get to hate those people at the same time. I get to hate anyone and anything I want. That's what it's called being free. You don't get to control my thoughts. You don't get to have mind control over me, and you don't get to make it illegal for me to have a thought of hatred.
And I can have a machete if I want, Jimmy.
So they're trying to say, hey, we're not actually doing this, but then they say, hey, we actually are doing this.
Yeah. Shouldn't have let Laura Loomer do their tweeting.
Yeah.
Or Larry Loomer, if you believe some people.
So this is only making people hate Israel more. This is the exact opposite thing. Just, you know how all the DEI stuff created backlash against those people getting the DEI? This is the same thing.
Well, you know what? Don't worry about me and the worthless non-Jews who might be upset. We're nothing. But you're losing all the new generation of kids. That's what they're freaking out about. The kids aren't listening to Bubby and Zadie no more about Israel. That's really the main fear. That's why they have to use the master of the universe controls, is that fucking creep said so eloquently. We're the masters of the universe. All these old scumbag, probably not even real Jews.
What's your thoughts? Please be respectful with your comments. Also, please click the like, click the notification bell, and subscribe to this channel.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.